G'day and welcome to Series 2 of the short online version of World of Bonsai. Have you ever wanted to create a Japanese maple root over rock like this one here? This one's been in the making for about 3 decades, but here's one that I just began a few years ago that was begun with exactly the same method.
With this method, I trained the trees in the open field to fatten the trunks for a decade or so. This forward-reaching branch is too big and it won't allow me to put the tree in the pot I want to get it into, so I've chosen to take these roots off. Then I clean up the wound with a knife and a sharp knob cutter, and I'm able to seal the area with a wax sealant. Then I find a piece of rock that fits into the space between the roots. Because there's a bend in the space, I'm using 2 separate pieces of rocks to fill in the one cavity. Then I trim the roots a little bit more so that they will actually fit into the pot that I've chosen to plant the tree in. By spring, there are new shoots emerging everywhere. Then, over the summer, I let them grow long till autumn comes. Then it's time to prune those long shoots back. Letting them grow long helps to thicken the inner branches. Essentially, I trim back the upward growing shoots and allow the sideways growing shoots to grow long so that I get a better spread out of the tree. Then, by the second winter, it's time to wire the branches again. This branch has had the wire cut in last time, so I'm winding the wire in the opposite direction. This assists the healing of the wounded branch. Then by the following spring, new shoots are emerging everywhere. In spring, it's important to watch out for pests on your bonsai. A great way to control pests is to defoliate. This not only causes new shoots to emerge really quickly, but it opens up the inside of the tree and lets light and wind in so that the pests can't prosper. When the tree's defoliated, you can see inside better, and this is a great time to remove the wire. You can see that the defoliation has resulted in rapid bud development and new shoots, and by summer there's long shoots again and the tree is really starting to thicken up. The best place to trim the new shoots is about 1 centimetre above the pair of leaves. That's where the buds are. My favourite way of feeding these trees is to use an organic mix of seaweed, fish emulsion, blood and bone, and top that up with some sweetener like dolomite. By the 3rd winter, even in its denuded state, the tree's taking shape. But it's a good time to put a bit of wax into those wounds to help their continued healing. And then, of course, it's time for more wiring. It's always a good tip to hold the branch in the direction you want to go while you wind it. Repotting and replenishing the soil is a great way to make your bonsai grow vigorously. So I've repotted this tree every year, and now as the spring foliage comes, I think I'm rewarded. This is a favourite time of mine. I love spring maple foliage. But by summer, of course, the long shoots are back again. But it's really important to let those shoots grow long. If you constantly nipped at the bud, the tree would never get the vigour that we need to develop a great bonsai. One of the great ironies of bonsai is that we spend a lifetime in pursuit of something that shows no sign of our human striving. But then again, I guess that's what makes us such a wonderful community. I've anchored a piece of wire to the base of the pot and I'm using the ends as guy wire. I've placed a bit of white foam in between to stop the guy wires from cutting into the branch. And there's a bit more wiring and a bit of a trim, and it's time to start all over again.
So it's wax on, wax off, and wax on, wax off again. These 3 Japanese maples here, they're Osakasukis, and they're all the same age, by the way, 25 years old, all 3 of them. Size does not determine the age of bonsai. While I was in China, in Lingnan land, I met Lu Zixuan, who is a brother of Lu Jiwei and of course a member of the great Lu Panjing Lingnan dynasty. And he told me some of the finer points about creating basal flare in Lingnan Panjing.
而家我講咧就依棵係紅果嚟嘅，佢而家就係長樹胚。咁咧我講個生長過程咧，點解呢棵樹會依啲枝依度唔會鋸到佢咧？原因咧就主要拉嗰個坑簾，呢度拉坑簾拉上去。如果你呢度唔留呢條咧，呢度咧冇咁靚坑簾啦。 咁啊，故此咧有好多人咧就以為點解要留咧？有啲點解唔留咧？我堅持咧就唔留啦，唔留咧就呢度拉起佢，幫助佢補充嗰個缺點啦，變咗優點。以後呢度就割到佢，秉成一馬眼，以後包起上嚟啦。咁 佢咧我哋叫做啤把度啦，即係個角度夠啤把啦呢度。咁呢啲咧有啲呢度好似後邊呢啲有道理又一樣啦。咁以後呢棵樹咧可以留高嘅，又可以留矮啲嘅。咁如果我係嶺南派咧，作為咧就係肯定要留到好矮嘅啫。呢度以後唔要啦，呢啲唔要啦。咁呢啲咧留呢啲主要都係攞個優點，以後就唔要嘅，就咁樣嗱。以後呢啲可以割短佢，呢度割短佢，呢度割短佢。呢個樹個優點咧，主要咧呢個品種咧咁嘅頭強咧係相當好突出，好靚嘅，好似老樹盤根咁，你睇下，好靚好靚你一根，呢度點解會包住嘅咧？主要道理咧，佢係呢度有一條大托嚟嘅。我哋就唔要咧切割咗以後咧，揾啲呢啲紙包住佢咧，就要防水防水兼強陽光。咁咧以後咧個越合能力啊係好快嘅，以後包到好快嘅，咁咧個就好理想嘅。以後嘅越合能力就咁樣。
Wonderful and practical insights from Lindsay. Now, which of these pots do you think is the most valuable? This one here is from the Ming Dynasty about 500 years ago. These are Foshan pots, about 100 years old, from southern China. And this one here is from Purple Sand Factory No. 1, made around 1970. The answer is a surprise. It's this one here. These were made during the Cultural Revolution, certainly China's most disastrous decade, but that such exquisite ware was made and that the finest of artisans were centred in the one factory in the most tumultuous time in the country's long and rich history is what makes them so precious. But these ones here, the Foshan pots, they're also likely to become precious because the government in China has recently closed down all of the factories that use coal kilns, and hence most of the bonsai pot makers have had to move elsewhere or go out of business. And so this beautiful ware is not being made with these same materials anymore as it's been done for the past 800 years. So these ones may well become the precious antiques of the future. So if you can see them around your area, snap them up. They're not likely to be in abundant supply ever again. When I was in Foshan, I went to one of the more traditional pot makers who used a wood kiln, and he showed us the way that they make the most exquisite traditional ware in a wood-fired kiln.
呢啲泥咧係我哋嘅材料嚟嘅，佢本身咧就嚟住幾個地方嘅，幾個地方嘅泥唔同。
Foshan pottery's origins go way back to the beginning of the 13th century. Mongolian invaded forced northern potters to flee south, and potters mainly from Honan province landed on the banks of the Xiwan River near Canton or Guangzhou, and they used the locally available materials to make distinctive ware that was exported across Southeast Asia and beyond. Today, Foshan is one of China's 4 major ceramic areas. Foshan City boasts many large-scale ceramic industries including tableware and sanitary ware. Most of the bonsai pot makers are fairly small-scale operators. The coal kilns that the bonsai pot makers like to use were polluting the area, and in November 2008, the government closed all of the coal kilns in the area.
呢條窯咧就係最傳統嘅清代龍窯，佢靠燒木柴嘅，咁咧一般咧就喺下邊燒大柴，燒夠火種之後咧就上去嗰啲口嗰度，就燒嗰啲細柴，上去呢度個口嗰度燒呢啲加呢啲細柴，咁咧就一下一下講上去，一下一下講上去。咁佢嘅燒性温度咧大概係1250，佢嘅燒性温度1250。本身嗰啲泥嘅配方燒性咗之後，個收縮咧大概12%，咁一般燒嘅時間咧就大概喺25個鐘到26個鐘之間，就將整窯嘢燒熟。燒綠油嘅，本來原衣係成件綠色噶嘛，因為佢有氧化火有還原火，啱啱個觸點啊，因為龍窯裏邊有3隻火嘅，有氧化火有還原火，有半氧化半還原，啱啱先有還原火。產生咗嗰隻金屬紅啊，產生咗缺氧，產生咗缺氧咧變成紅色， 咁呢啲紅色咧就唔係話上落去嘅，係爆出嚟嘅。
因為呢啲係上落去嘅。
舊時叫石榴紅啊嘛，呢啲上落去嘅，呢啲爆出嚟嘅，呢啲爆出嚟嘅，呢啲爆出嚟嘅嚇。好啦，咁呢啲咧就永遠追唔翻第二件㗎啦。
呢啲石同呢啲石已經係
永遠追唔到㗎啦。特別呢啲呢隻盤咧就基本上其實咩咧就係仿晚清嘅盤。舊石灣晚清嘅盤都係線條比較簡潔，關鍵就喺呢浸植物油，關鍵喺呢浸植物油。所以講植物油有咩好處咧？植物油農木窯農呢個用柴燒嘅最大好處咧，佢夠時間咧就起瓜車。呢啲盤我哋都係10幾年前㗎嚇，10幾年後佢就起瓜車，因為佢浸油咧就用植物、金屬、礦物3個材料組合，所以通過時間氧化咧，時間一耐佢就產生呢個瓜車。有即係植物油最大嘅好處就有呢個有二處生命，就可以變色出嚟。
Fascinating stuff there. It's so wonderful to see those pots being made. Just remember that the great bonsai historian, author, connoisseur, the late Wu Yi-sun of Hong Kong, stated that he considered these pots to be amongst the finest in bonsai, not only because of their natural grace and antique appearance, but because they had such wonderful insulating properties. So if you see any, get out and grab hold of them while you can. That's all for today's episode, so thank you for your curiosity and so long.